who learned to code before AI and feels like it should be transforming their business but isn't. You gotta listen to this. The tools aren't the issue. The issue lies with the people, especially the engineers who perfected their trade before AI became useful. I lead a 20-person dev team at WUC, and I've been a huge fan of AI coding ever since ChatGPT launched. And I've been pushing my whole engineering team toward it for the last 3 years. And for most of those 3 years, they fought back hard. They said the code was bad. They made fun of everything I created with AI. I've got the Slack messages to prove it. And about 6 months ago, the wall started to crack. What I tried, what didn't work, and what's actually working. Let's go back to that moment when I realized everything was about to change on December 22nd. I'm at my laptop working to build a dashboard to display phone system data. So here's the deal. I'm not a developer, never have been. But the data I needed was inside a MySQL database on the phone system. And to get it into our BI dashboard, I had to write a bunch of MySQL queries, selects, joins, all that jazz. I spent months grinding through Stack Overflow and even asking friends who knew MySQL, but I always kept hitting this wall. Then ChatGPT launched and I opened it, telling it exactly what I needed in plain English. It went, wrote the query, and made it work. Then I asked for a script, and it wrote that one too. And it worked too. And then within 6 months of playing with it, I'd built a full app. I was blown away by a full app prototype I'd been wanting to build for years, and remember thinking this: is this new way of writing code gonna change the world forever? Full stop. So early this year, I went to my dev team and I told guys, you gotta start using this. It's the future. It's way bigger than autocomplete. So jump on it. And each and every one of them pushed back as the objections came in waves. You can't trust it. It hallucinates it. Writes ugly. The code it spits out is garbage. And this one was my favorite because it's been trained on the worst code on the internet. So all it can ever produce is bad code. They said it can't understand what you actually want. Our app is way too large for the context window, so it has no idea what it's doing. And then the security one, it'll point out packages that are outdated because of the training cutoff window. So it would write code with known vulnerabilities. To be fair, that last one is a valid point. And I'll get back to how we tackle and solve this later on, because every time I build something using AI, an internal tool, or a script, the team took it apart and said things like, why is this file? Why does it keep passing these arguments when it's way more complicated than it has to be? Look how I can simplify this function, and the silent thought beneath that line was always the same. AI coding doesn't work. Axel, stop dreaming. Now here's a crucial fact. Every single person on my team learned to code before AI coding existed. First, they learned the concepts, then they learned the syntax. Then they used to practice by writing code and refining it over time, which is how software used to be learned back then, but we don't have that anymore. Anyone on the team who figures out how to build software in the AI era. But when we do, I think that story will look totally different, but stick with that thought and I'll revisit it later. But with our current team, the resistance came from every direction. And honestly, I get that if you've spent years building muscle memory for what good code actually looks like, and someone walks in saying, let the machine write it, you don't hear use this new tool, you hear your craft. It doesn't matter anymore. That's the real reason. It's not hallucinations, it's identity. But I kept pushing either way. And they kept pushing back until about 3.5 years ago when I started noticing a shift. First up, we needed a marketing automation script on one of our guys. The same guy who would be mocking my AI scripts a year before gave Claude Code a prompt. And the script came out on the other side and it worked. The first time he didn't tell me he used AI to write the script I had to ask. And when I did, he said, yeah, I used Claude as in like, if it gets... It was the obvious thing to do 12 months earlier. Yet the same person told me back then that AI writes ugly code. Then one of our senior-backed folks, the very same person who'd been calling AI coding unreliable for the last 2 years, began drafting spec sheets for each new feature he needed to build, collaborating with RPM on the PRD first, and help. So he goes in and writes the technical specs all by himself, as if that's how you do it nowadays. Why? Since once you've got a solid spec, AI can take care of so much more of the implementation than it could before we can move reliably faster. I asked him, why couldn't we have... The AI wrote all the code for WeUC and mentioned something that made me think. It said, UC has been built over the last 4 years by different people without a clearly defined coding standard from day one. So whenever AI checks our code, it sees 5 different ideas on how to do things right. Sure, it gets confused. That was honest of him, and he was right. The issue here wasn't AI. We'd never actually written down what good code should look like. So now here's the reframe that took me 3 years to see. AI coding doesn't fix bad engineering practices, shows you what's wrong, and then pushes you to fix it right. We've now made a full coding standards document. We're rewriting all our backed services as a monorepo so that code, docs, and everything live in one place, so that any developer or any AI can navigate it. We've also boosted our security stack. We're using Docker hardened images to lower the attack surface. We're using Context 7 MCP inside Claude Code so it can pull the latest packages that came out after the training cutoff date of the model. We've got Kido running for about a month now, scanning all our repositories, containers, and deployments, and letting us know about bugs. But honestly, this isn't about AI at all. It's about our organization wanting to write code. Good code and bad packages are shipped by humans, and insecure code is also written by humans. The question for us isn't if AI is safe. The question is, are we prepared to create good code no matter who or what wrote it? We're now treating AI like another team member, and I believe that's the best way to go. So how come my team has finally gotten on board? Honestly, I think about 3 things at once. First, I've been hammering the same drum for like 3 years. They're sick of hearing it from me twice. Number 2 is that Claude Code improved drastically in the past 12 months. And number 3, the developers my team follows online began discussing the tools in earnest, shifting from evangelism to skepticism. Look at Primogen as an example, a developer YouTuber my team follows. He's wary of AI coding, but being wary isn't the same as being dismissive once the practitioners my team respects moved from calling it hype. This is a real tool with real trade-offs that let my team do the same. They didn't buy into the hype, they got the skeptics' approval. Sometimes you don't win the argument, you just outlast it and let others make it for you. Trying to convert my own team made me think about something much bigger. I feel like software development has hit a fork in the road right now, with 2 generations of software developers, one formed before AI was around and one being formed today. The space between them will shape the next 10 years. On one side, you have developers who learned to code before AI was around. That's my crew, and probably yours too. They picked up the syntax and learned the languages by typing out every character one by one. Their skill was in their hands. I call them hand coder software engineers, or hand coders for short. On the other side, the software developers that are learning how to build software now with AI in the editor from day one, they're not learning like the hand coders did. I call these AI native software engineers. They won't spend time memorizing JavaScript or Rust or Python syntax, since the AI takes care of it. You just need to focus on learning the concepts, the architecture, and computer science principles. How memory gets allocated, how a system scales. It's going to be way more about architecture than it is about syntax. You're not really writing code now, it's all about structure, building, and orchestration, as AI native software engineers turn into managers of agents. They define the system, they write the spec, then they let a fleet of agents loose. And they check what comes back, and they test it. And the key point is they're accountable for the code their agents create. But they don't handwrite code because they don't need to. I guess I'm an early edition of this. Yes, I hired developers before AI, but I never learned how to code. I picked up building software with AI right from the beginning. I design the system, write the spec, and then hand it to Claude Code to build it. Then I check the output. That's how I made the scheduler, Publish.do. It began as an internal tool and is now a fully working app used in production by real users, not a demo. And I didn't code a single line by hand. I made it how I think an AI native software engineer will build everything. If you're bringing on a junior dev and they've got 2 years of experience or even less than that, the folks applying for those roles are going to look totally different from the hand coders you've hired before. We're going to be hiring AI native software engineers, people who don't need to know how to write code in the syntax sense, but who absolutely knows how to build real software, production grade software that isn't just a hypothesis, but is already happening. I think lots of people will disagree with me on this, but I'm 100% convinced it's happening. The question worth sitting with isn't whether an AI native software engineer can really exist. So what does a 10x AI native software engineer actually look like? The old 10x coder releases software faster than anyone else. So what about the 10x AI native software engineer, the person who doesn't write the code but orchestrates, manages, and reviews, and determines what level of output that person can actually achieve? I'm not 100% certain, but I'm starting to think they're already out there. Maybe there'll be more of them than the traditional 10x coders. Maybe every company will have one if you're a CEO. If you're a CTO trying to get a team of hand coders on board with AI coding, keep at it and stay patient. But hire AI native software engineers. Most of the rest will show up when the evidence gets loud enough. Might be quicker if it's from someone else instead of you. And if you're in the spot I was in a year ago, don't get discouraged because their mindset will shift and their work will evolve. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe. I'm sharing the whole process of building what you see, launching it as a SaaS, and telling the story as it unfolds. Get more detailed versions of what I share here straight in your inbox by joining my newsletter at axelmlist.com. The next video is why making software is the easy part. The tough part is distribution. 12 months back, they dubbed it bad code, but now they run it every day in production. The argument sorts itself out if you just stick it out. See you in the next one.